So mostly what is happening that when we are writing down program, then we are taking help of compiler. Now the compiler, that is basically the important entity here, supposed to take care of hardware side, because compiler interacts, I think it is well known to you that all the resources of the computer system, that includes software, hardware, everything, data even, the every resource, all the resources are owned by the operating system only, and operating system will allocate resources based on the demand. Now here what I am saying, that you are still this particular thing is not transparent to you, that what actual hardware is, the hardware portion or what resources portion will be required to run a parallel program. This work will be taken care by the compiler, and of course not your conventional compiler, it will be of course a parallel kind of compiler. So you are writing your own code. Now in this situation, let me share first and then we will discuss. So, participants, are you getting whiteboard? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So, today is 7th of December. So, what I am saying, that you are writing code and compiler will take care, compiler will handshake with OS, and whatever resources will be required so that your program will be a parallel program, that work will be taken care by the compiler only. So because till now we have not written, we have not discussed all possible hardwares in detail, so I am not writing down how we can write down our, by looking into the hardware, this hardware is visible to us, and then how to write down parallel code. This is one aspect. Another aspect, hardware is not visible to you, and you are writing your code, and this code, the hardware is visible to compiler, and compiler will take care rest of the work. So that situation, second thing, that you are not bothering about the hardware, that I am taking today. So what I am saying, there are two types of approaches when you are writing down code using compiler. One is called fully automatic, or second thing is programmers directed. But in both the case, the role of compiler is there. Fully automatic, and second thing is programmer directed. So first of all, let us discuss the fully automatic. What I want to say by fully automatic is, now fully automatic means what? That as far as programmer is concerned, he supposed to, or he or she supposed to write down his code like a sequential code only. Means you will write down your code like what you are writing down in C. Now, is there any parallelism, and what, where the parallelism will be identified, and how this what amount of parallelism is there, so that what resources will be required to run the code by making them parallel. All these work, all these tasks will be taken care by the compiler only. So actually your role is nothing in terms of writing parallel code. You have to write down serial code, conventional code only, and because it is fully automatic, means parallelism will be taken care, or your code will be divided into parallel code by the compiler only. This is the philosophy of fully automatic. I'll tell you that what are the problems, or is there, this method is good or bad, that we will discuss. But the second method is this one, that is called programmer directed. Here you know that basically this is not 100%, you can say, parallel. Of course hardware doesn't, hardware is not aware, you are not supposed to bother about hardware, but you know that what you have to define, you have to declare that where you parallelism is there, where concurrency is there. So you have to declare that these two or these three or these four are the concurrent, then there is a sequentiality, then concurrency, because I'll give you an example, that program 100% you will not find that entire thing is parallel. In whatever program you will write down, there will be some sequentiality and some parallelism. So that identification that where parallelism is there, and we have to give direction to the compiler that these three things are parallel. But you do not know whether the resources what are available are 2 processors or 4 processors or what. That you are not supposed to bother. Only you are giving direction to the compiler that here you will find the parallelism. But in the case of fully automatic thing, you are saying nothing. You are simply writing down a serial code, and then compiler will take care, compiler will convert this code into parallel code. So this is the difference. This is called programmer directed. Today, our focus, because fully automatic means we have to learn compiler only, that how compiler will convert your sequential code into parallel code. So that is another topic. But practically, this programmer directed parallelism is used, and this is supported by many programming language. Let me tell you the name of few, like C star, the parallel version of C. Another is Ada. Another language is concurrent Pascal. And there are many more which are parallel languages. Why I am saying parallel language? Because in these languages, facilities are there where programmer can direct compiler that here you will find sequentiality, here you will find the parallelism or concurrency. So such type of things are there by which you can declare, you can basically define parallelism. And then rest of the thing means hardware side, how to execute this parallel, what are the resources required. These things will be taken care by the compiler and OS, that you are not supposed to bother. So our focus of today's lecture will be programmer directed parallel code. So I'll not use a particular language because almost all the languages are doing almost same job, because whatever languages I think these are popular languages, but in not I can say daily, but very frequently these languages are changing. So concepts we will discuss, the syntax, and actually which language you will use, that I am not discussing here because that is a part of lab. So now what I want to say, that fully automatic looks very good because there's no headache of programmer. You have to write down only serial code. But what is happening in fully automatic kind of parallelism, that you may get wrong results. The first thing is that there is a chance that compiler is not that smart, that 100%. So it may do some wrong parallelism because you are not directing anything. So in this case, you may get some wrong results. This is the problem. And second thing is that it is not much efficient. What I mean to say by this, that sometimes there is parallelism in your program, but this kind of parallelism your compiler is not able to identify. Logically, if you think, you can find parallelism, but compiler is not able to find out this parallelism. So in this, because of this, efficiency will be decreased. And next thing is that mostly what I want to say, that these automatic processes are finding out parallelism in a loop. So that again, because I have some part actually, because I am teaching compiler also. So just by interest, actually parallel compilers are not there in syllabus, but just for the basically to learn something, I have gone through this some portion of parallel compiler. So it is a different topic. But how loops will be used for parallelizing, that is a very, very good topic to discuss, but this is not the mandate of this particular short-term training program. So I'm not going to discuss this thing in detail. So there are certain, what I want to say, limitations when we talk about fully automatic. So practically this programmer directed method is used, and we will discuss today this only. So let me take one example first, and then we will come to detailed discussion. So I am writing one code, very simple code. A is equal to B plus C. Then D is equal to E plus, just wait. B is equal to B into 2. C is equal to C plus D. And then E is equal to B plus C. B into C. B into C. So I have written one small code segment, very small code segment. Now here you can see there are 4 statements in this small code fragment or code section. Let us name these. Say this is S1, this is S2, this one is S3, and this is S4. So we have 4 statements, and this is the part of our code. Now the question is, if I want to run this code in normal system, normal desktop with writing code in a normal C language or any similar type of language, then you know the order of execution will be first S1 will be executed. Of course, S1 is not the low level code, so I'm not saying instruction will be executed, statement will be executed, followed by S2, then S3, then S4. So one by one, these 4 statements will be executed. And let us assume that each statement is taking unit time. Just for the sake of example, I am assuming this thing. So of course, 4 time units will be required to run this particular portion of code, because each statement is taking 1 time unit. Now, if I submit this thing to fully automatic, then compiler is supposed to find out is there any parallelism among S1, S2, S3, S4. If some parallelism is there, then these statements can be executed in 2 parallel processors. So the time will be saved. But if it is programmer directed, then we have to define that here you will find a parallelism. So distribute these 2. Now here again, one more thing that I want to say. Here I am talking about statements, but practically you may consider them as a processes, that in place of one statement, there will be a sequence of statements. So S1 is not a single statement. S1 is a process. Or in lower level, you may even think of that S1 is a thread, because process is further divided into threads. So whatever term you can think of, that is not the, again, I am not discussing this. S1 may be statement, S1 may be process, S1 may be a thread. But in process level, you have to find out parallelism. Statement level, you can find parallelism, or thread level, you can find parallelism. And all these parallelism will be basically identified with the same concept, whether it is a statement or it is a thread or it is a process. Almost same. Of course, there is some difference when we talk about thread and the process. That again, I'm just right now I'm avoiding discussion of these things. So these are the 4 statements. Now, first of all, because there are 4 statements, or you may consider 4 processes, so how to identify parallelism? How to identify concurrency among these statements? The method or the conditions given by one scientist, I think some of you might have heard, known as Bernstein's conditions. So these are used to identify concurrency among 2 processes. What I want to say, what Bernstein is saying, 2 processes. Now here, these process PI processes, or you can say statements. Now, because we are talking about a statement also, statements PI and PJ are concurrent. Concurrent, in simple term, you may say that parallel if following conditions are simultaneously satisfied. Then only we can say these two processes or these two statements are concurrent if these conditions are satisfied. The first one is that RPI intersection WPJ. I will define what is RPI, what is WPJ, must be phi. This is condition number one. Condition number two, WPI intersection RPJ must be phi. And the last is WPI intersection WPJ will also be phi. So all these three conditions must be satisfied. Simultaneously means all the three, not one of them, not two of them, all the three. If for process Pi and Pj all these three conditions are satisfied, then we can declare that these two processes, these two statements are concurrent or parallel. Now, what is the meaning of this RPI? So RPI means read set of process Pi. And similarly, WPI means write set of process Pi. So R for read and W for write. So RPI is a read set and WPI is the write set. Now, what do you mean by read set? And what is the, if I talk about statement 1 only, say statement 1, then statement 1, you know, is A is equal to B plus C. S1 is A is equal to B plus C. If you see this statement, then in this statement, we are reading two memory locations or two variables, B and C. And then after performing some arithmetic operation, B plus C or whatever, the result we are writing in variable A or some memory location whose logical name is A. So it means if I want to find out RS1, then it is nothing but B comma C. And WS1 is nothing but set containing only A. So this is a read set of statement 1 and this is write set of statement 1. Now, if you consider these S1, S2, S3, S4, this entire or sequence of these four statements as a process, then if I want to find out what is read set, what is write set of this entire process that includes all these four statements, then it is nothing but A, B, C, E. Left hand side, A, B, C, E are the write set. The write set contains A, B, C, E, and the read set contains B, C, and D only. B, C, and D. Because in the right side of each and every expression, if you count, then you have B, you have C, you have D. You do not have D, E. And in the left side of, and this, if you consider this, all these statements are part of one process, then A, B, C, E is the write set. So write set and read set in this way of a statement of the process, you can easily calculate. Now, if I have to find out whether S1 and S2 are concurrent, then these three conditions must be satisfied. And one more thing that Bernstein have said, that these three conditions you have to check with transitively. Now, I will define what I mean to say by transitivity here. But these conditions are not, you can say directly, but these two you have to check with transitive property. I'll discuss this thing. So if I have to find out what is RS1, so that I have written, WS1 I have written. Similarly, if I have to find out RS2, then RS2 is nothing but B, and WS2 is also B, because statement 2 is B is equal to B into 2. So both are B. Now here, if I have to find out whether S1 and S2 are concurrent or parallel to each other, what we have to check? अब मैं यही बनाता हूं. I am doing here only. because we have to complete too many things in a 1.5 hour lecture. So I want to save my time. So what I am doing, you have to compare these two, means write set of S1, this one, and read set of this. Is there anything common? So what is write set of S1? A. What is read set of S2? B. So the intersection is 5. So this one condition is okay. Second condition is like this, means read set of S1 and write sets of S2. But here if you see, read set of S1 contains B and C, and write set of S2 contains B. So the intersection of these two is not 5. It means one of the condition out of these three is not. So what I have to check, this cross, and one more thing that I have to check, these two. There should not be anything common between two write sets. So these three things you have to check. And if all these three conditions are satisfied, then only say S2 and S3. Now let us consider S2 and S3. One more example. Let us discuss S2, S3. Now in S2, just a minute, B into 2. In S2 and S3, if we consider, what we have to check, we have to check this, that nothing common between write set of S2 and read set of S3. So you can see that write set of S2 is B and read set of S3 is C and D. So nothing common. So this condition is okay. Another condition we have to check, this one, means read set of S2 and write set of S3. Again, there's nothing common in these two. So this condition is also okay. Two conditions we have checked. Third condition means we have to compare this one, write set of S2 and write set of S3. Again, these two are different. So nothing common in these two. So we can say that S2 and S3 are concurrent to each other. Now, very similarly, if you check S1 and S4, then you will find that S1 and S4 are also concurrent. You can check yourself. But S1, S2 is not concurrent. S1, S3 is not concurrent. S2, S4, S2, S3 is concurrent. And S1, S4 is also concurrent. आप ऐसा देखें. But if you consider or S3, S4, these are also not concurrent. The reason is very simple logically. Now let us discuss logically. Now here you are finding out B, E in S4. E only you will calculate logically when you will update B and C from S2 and S3. If you calculate E prior to updating S2, S3, prior to updating B and C, which is there in S2, S3, then you will get finally wrong result. So of course, S4 you can execute only after execution of S2 and S3. Okay. And S2 and S3 you can execute only after execution of S1. So there is a transitivity. You cannot execute S2, S3 prior to S1, and you cannot execute S4 prior to S2, S3. It means you cannot execute S4 prior to S1. So that transitivity also you have to check. So ultimately, if you go through these four statements, so logically you can easily identify that what kind of concurrency is there. Of course, S1 you can execute. Until unless S1 is not executed, you cannot execute S2. Even you cannot execute S3. But S2, S3 are concurrent or parallel to each other. But until unless S2, S3 finished, you cannot execute S4. So this kind of logic you may develop mathematically or by applying your common sense kind of thing. Now the question is that this is only small code where you have four statements, but actual code may be a little bit large or sufficiently large. Now in this case, how you can represent, how you can remember, how you can say that what is concurrent, what is sequential. So one standard method that most of the people are using to represent sequentiality and concurrency is called precedence graph. So let us discuss precedence graph. So precedence graph is normally used to represent sequentiality and concurrency. Now how? Now, as I have told you in this particular example where I have written these four statements, first of all, you have to execute S1. And then as far as S2 and S3 are concerned, you cannot execute S2 till S1 is executed. Even you cannot execute S3 till S1 is executed. You can check easily. क्योंकि S1 में देखिए, we are updating A by reading B and C. And if you execute S3 before, then C will be modified and the new value of C will be used to update A, which is not the mandate. First of all, you get the previous initial value of B and C to update A, and then you are modifying in statement S2 B, and then you are modifying C. So in this way, so you cannot execute S3 first and then S1. So after S1 only, you have to execute S2, S3. But S2, S3 themselves are concurrent because आप S2 पहले कर लें या S3 पहले कर लें, there is no difference. So how you can represent? This is very, very simple. After you have to make an edge because it is a graph. So you know vertices will be there. Vertices will be statements or processes. Edges will give you the order of execution. So if I have an edge from S1 to S2, it indicates that S2 can only be executed after execution of S1. Very similarly, if I draw edge that S1, S3, it means S3 can only be executed after execution of S1. But I have not made any edge between S2, S3 because there's no as such order. You can execute S2 first or S3 first, doesn't matter. So now, but when you can execute S4, you can execute S4 after execution of S2 as well as S3. You can check it. So this graph, what I have drawn is basically precedence graph. Now this graph, this is very small example I have taken. So it is very simple, or you can say small size graph where vertices are statements or processes, edges are the order of execution, indicates the order of execution or rather precedence in other terms. Now, if you have such kind of precedence graph, then you can logically say that if I use conventional processor and each statement is taking 1 unit of time, then total time required will be 4 units to execute the entire code. But if you have parallel processor and you have 2 processor system, then you can execute this entire code in 3 time unit because S1 you will execute and then S2 and S3 you can execute in 2 different processors in parallel. So both will execute in unit time. And once these will complete, then you will execute S4. So 1 time unit for this, 1 for this, and 1 for this. So total time required will be 3. But if you execute all these in sequential manner in conventional system, then the requirement of time will be 4 time. So this is the advantage you can see. But the important thing is this precedence graph that you have declared just to represent the sequentiality and concurrency. But in a programming language, because you have a compiler where we have to give direction and compiler will use this direction to parallelize, to actually use parallel resources, which is in by contacting operating system. So that type of thing, that how we can represent this sequentiality and concurrency, that we are supposed to discuss today. So before I will move further, again, I am requesting all of you that if you want to raise any doubt, any question in your mind, because from last 15-20 minutes I am continuously talking and I need some feedback from your side. Yes, anything? Any question?
Everything going fine, sir.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just have a quick question actually. Can I have it?
Yes, please.
Yeah, this you are telling that this the statements is like a parallel is going. Who will decide? Compiler will decide at the time of this one, or how the compiler know that this is a independent statements or independent instructions kind of thing.
Okay.
Even compiler has a certain kind of the technique inside of it.
So as I have said, I think you are attending this lecture right from the beginning. So what I have said, there are two ways. One is called fully automatic, another is called programmer directed. If it is fully automatic, then you are writing this, say this example, these 4 statements, and it is a responsibility of compiler that to identify what about parallelism, which statements or which processes are parallel or concurrent, and then compiler will take care everything. This is one way. But I am not discussing today that how compiler will do this thing, because this is another. In that case, we have to learn some basics of compiler also. Our discussion will be programmer directed, you can say, parallelism. So programmer directed is not fully automatic. So we have to, when we write down program, when we write down code, at that time we have to declare, we have to define that to the compiler, that here you will find parallelism, here you will find sequentiality. So I have not written one example code, but what I want to say, what answer to your question is that we have to define. Compiler itself is not doing that part. I am not discussing how compiler will do, because for that we need to discuss few more things, which is not basically mandate of this, because we are not discussing parallel compiler here in this course. So what I am writing, that you are supposed to write down, you have to define as a programmer that this is parallel. But again, what I want to share, that you are not supposed to bother about the hardware resources. You are simply declaring that these things are concurrent, these things are sequential, and how to declare that we are supposed to discuss. Wait for a few minutes. And the rest of the work will be taken care by the compiler only, because to run this code, you need 2 processors. For example, here S2 and S3 supposed to execute in parallel. But whether 2 processors are there or 4 processors are there in the architecture, how to distribute the job to S2 and S3, all these things will be taken care by the compiler. You are not doing this thing, but you are declaring that S2 and S3 are concurrent. But S1, first you have to execute S1, then S2, S3 you can execute parallel, then S4, that you have to declare. Now, how to declare this thing? That is basically, there are many ways. We will discuss one by one all these things. Okay?
Yes,
Are you
yes,
getting?
thank you. Yeah, yes, yes.
Any other
Thank you
question?
very much.
Any other question? Anybody want to ask anything? So, okay, now let us discuss one by one. So the one that I have named is few parallel compilers. One is compiler for concurrent Pascal. And that when I was there in IIT Delhi, at that time I have used this compiler. So long back. But normally even C language I have used in when I was there in IIT Delhi in early 90s, 92, 93. So 30 years back, roughly 30 years back. So still we are using C with minimum changes. So these languages are basically there. Of course, some syntax nowadays what C we are using are different in terms of facilities, in terms of some additional features that was not there when I was there in the institute, when I was doing my classes. At that time, of course, these many facilities are not there. That type of compilers are not there. But C language is still. So that's why I'm discussing concurrent Pascal. Then I'll discuss Ada also. So what I'm talking about, the facility, how to declare sequentiality, how to declare parallelism using the concurrent Pascal. But there are few more features of concurrent Pascal that we will discuss later on. So the one facility that is there in concurrent Pascal to declare sequentiality and concurrency is to use. So now I am talking about, let me write down representation of sequentiality and concurrency or parallelism. Now the first method what I am using is using concurrent statements. Now here, what facility you have, that if you are writing something in begin end, then this is, say, if I'm writing S1, S2, S3, then what it means that these three statements or these three processes are sequential. Means if I am representing this thing in normal begin and end, then you have to execute S1 first, then you can execute S2, and then only you can execute. So sequentiality is represented by the statements you are supposed to write down in begin end. But if S1, S2, S3 are concurrent, then I have to use a statement that is called par begin. Par means parallel begin. So S1, S2, S3, and then par end. Now, if I am writing down something within par begin, par end, then it means that these three statements or these two statements or these four statements or processes, whatever term you want to use, are concurrent or parallel in nature. Means if you have three number of processors, then compiler can execute or run S1 in one processor, S2 in another processor, S3 in another processor simultaneously. Because S1, so who is declaring this thing? We, as a program. We have to say that S1, S2, S3 are sequential, or we have to say S1, S2, S3 are concurrent, or where sequentiality, where concurrency kind of situation. Now let us discuss. Now you can easily learn. It is very, very simple thing. Our diagram was like that. Precedence graph like that. What I have to. Now if I have to represent sequentiality and concurrency, or this entire whatever four statements we have written, if I am to give direction to the compiler that this is sequentiality, this is using this begin end and par begin par end, then how I can do? I will write down my code begin and then S1. Then I will write down par begin. Then here I will write down S2, S3, then par end. Then I will write down S4, S4, and then I will write down end. Now this is the code that we have to write down. Now what compiler will do? Compiler knows, because these are compiler, we have given directions to the compiler that whatever is written between begin end is the sequential thing, and whatever is written between par begin par end is the concurrent thing. So if you see this code, then what we can easily say that this one followed by this one and then this one. These three things are sequential because I have written these three things within begin end. So S1 followed by whatever I have written between par begin par end, this one. This is number one, this is number two, this is number three. These three things are sequential to each other because these three things are written in begin end. But if you come to the number two, then here I have used par begin par end, and within par begin par end I have written S2 S3. It means this S2 S3 are concurrent to each other. Means you can execute S2 first or S3 first, doesn't matter. So by giving this direction, what compiler is supposed to do, it will execute S1 in one processor. Then it will ask OS that please allocate two processor where S2 will be executed and S3 will be executed in parallel. And once these two will be executed fully, means you will get result from S2, you will get result from S3, then S4 will be executed in one processor. So number of processors required maximum 2. भाई आपके पास P1 and P2 only two processors you have executed S1 in P1, then you have executed S2 S3 in P1 and P2, then again you have executed S4 in P1. So you need two processors, and you have reduced your time from 4 time unit to 3 time unit.
Sorry to disturb you. This precedence graph is unique, or it can be have anything kind of thing? It can be have multiple, or is it unique actually?
Precedence graph is unique. But if you but it is partially correct that why I am saying it is unique, because sometimes what people are doing, they are unnecessarily representing transitivity. For example, if I draw an edge like this, then this is redundant edge. Why I can say it is redundant edge? Because what this edge indicates that you can execute S4 only after execution of S1. And this you are getting indirectly because you can execute S2, S3 after S1 and you can execute S4 after S2, S3. So by transitive condensi, so if you are not drawing redundant edges, then it is unique. But if you will draw unnecessary edges like this edge is unnecessary, this is redundant, then you may say that it is not unique, but it is actually unique. Are you getting my point?
Yes, actually. Still,
have you drawn, are you teaching this called subject discrete mathematics?
Yes, I'm a
structure.
mathematics background I have actually, but still
Have
I'm
you gone
teaching the
through
compiler.
discrete structure?
Yes, yes.
Have you represented partially ordered relations or sets there? If you
Yes,
have
yes.
recall it, then one diagram, Pragati, I think Dr. Pragati is there in the session? No, she is not there. So if you see that there is one diagram that is called Hayes diagram. Now this Hayes diagram is unique or not, the question is very similar to what you have asked. In that also, if you unnecessarily draw edges, which is not required, then you may have some more edges, which is in the graph. So you may have two different graphs. But effectively, if you optimize the graph in terms of vertices and edges, then it will be unique. This is not an optimal graph because this edge is extra. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any other question, participants? Yes, please. So now I am giving you one. And I want to ask you that all of you, please, if you have some paper and something, somewhere where you can write down yourself, then please write down this concurrent and sequential statement begin and par begin par and to represent the concurrency. Now I am drawing one, I am giving you example number 2 and I am using one precedence graph that I am giving to you. S1, S2, S3, S4, S5. Say this is the precedence graph. Now, please try to do yourself. Please represent sequentiality and concurrency, sequential and parallel code. Of course, it will be sequential. Every code will be sequential and parallel. Means either it will be fully sequential or sequential parallel. Never you will get fully parallel. There's nothing like full parallel. Sequentiality is there on 99.9%. So all of you, please try to represent. Write down code. Anybody has done? Any of you? Please give response that you have done. No response from your side, participants.
Sir, I tried it, but I may not sure it may be correct or not.
गगन बोल रहे हो?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, तुम भी अटेंड कर रहे हो?
Yes, sir.
चलो,
Done, sir.
Nice. Okay, so let us check. whether all of you have done. Now in this diagram, now if you have to find out sequentiality and concurrency, then you can easily see that S1, these two portions, this one and this one, are concurrent to each other. These two are concurrent, means you can execute S1 first, then one side you can execute S3, another side you can execute S2, S4. But if you see this one, then here S2 and S4, of course, these two are concurrent to S3, but these are sequential themselves, means you cannot execute S4 prior to S2. S2 followed by S4. And until unless, if I say this is 1, this is 2, 1 and 2, both these two concurrent sections are completed, you cannot execute S5. So this is the nature. This is the nature of this precedence graph. Now, how I will write down code, and please all of you check yourself also. I am writing this begin, then S1. Then what I am doing, par begin, because now after S1 you have two parallel or you can say concurrent sections, par begin. Now one in par begin, what are concurrent to each other? S2, S4 and S3. So what I am doing here I am writing down S3 and then I am writing down begin, and begin I am writing down S2, S4 and this is parent. And then I am writing down S5 and then I am writing down end. This is the code what I have written. Begin, then S1. Now you can check it. Within this begin end, this entire code, I can divide into three sections. This one, and this one. So S1 followed by something what I have written in par begin parent, then S5. So until unless S1 is not executed, we cannot go to par begin parent. And until unless we come out from par begin parent, we cannot execute S5. So that is, I think all of you can easily understand. Now within par begin parent, again what I have done, I have written two things. One is S3, another is within begin end, means within begin and whatever I am writing down, it will be sequence. So sequential S2 followed by S4. So either you can execute S2 followed by S4 first, or you can execute S3 first, or you can execute these two things in parallel. One side S3, another is S2 followed by S4. That is a parallelism there. So this is the code. Now, Gagan, आपने यही किया है कि कुछ और किया है?
सर ये नहीं किया सर, मैं एक्चुअली
आप बताइए आपने क्या किया है, आप मुझे बताइए। तो मैं बाकी कुछ और लोगों ने भी किया होगा। यस, बिगिन
विद S1 and par begin S2 S3. I put them together.
Par begin S2
S3
S3 par end,
yes sir.
Then
S4 and S5. At this point I become confused because
so this is the code what one your fellow participant has written. Dr. Gagan has written this. Now if I want to draw whatever he has written, now if I want to draw precedence graph, actually what code he has written. So the precedence graph will be S1. Now after S1, what you are saying, actually within begin end, you can easily say there are four things: 1, 2, 3, and 4. So S1, and after S1 you can start par begin parent. So I have two things: S2, S3, and these S2, S3 you can execute after execution of S1 only. Then once S2, S3 will be executed, then you have to execute S4, because you cannot execute S4 until unless whatever written between par begin parent completes. And after execution of S4, then you can execute S5. So this is the basically precedence graph of the code what is written by Dr. Gagan Vishkarma. And I had given something else. So is it clear?
Yes sir, understood.
For other participants also I'm asking.
Yes, sir, it is fine.
Okay.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Ashmita here.
Yes, Arpita?
Sir, I kept S2 and S4 together, and then parent I kept S4, and then at last parent I kept S5.
So you
Sir,
want to
what if
reconfirm
I?
whether you have done right, you have written
Yes,
right code or wrong. That you
yes,
want to
sir.
say?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
Then
sir.
then please tell me, because it
Uh,
is in this way, because we are not in a classroom, so it is difficult for me that what you are saying. Let me write down what you are saying. So you are starting from say begin,
yes, sir. Begin
then
S1, then pa
S1,
begin S2, S4 I did.
par begin, S2,
S2, S4.
S4. Then
Then sir, parent
par
S3,
end,
and yeah,
then
S3, then S5, then N.
okay. So this is the code. I think you have written similar to what Gagan has written. The only difference will be that this is this one, this one, this one. These four things are sequential to each other. This is number 1, 2, 3, 4. So these four things are sequential to each other because you have written these four things in a begin end. And within this, if, this number 2, which is par begin par end, S2, S4 are concurrent. So what will be the diagram? S1. Now after S1, you have par begin par end, where you have written two things, S2, S4, and these two S2, S4 are concurrent to each other. So I am writing down S2, I am writing down S4, but S2, S4 you can only execute after
Yeah.
execution of
Yes,
S1.
sir. I
So
understood.
this one,
Yeah. Yes, sir.
then
That's a
S3,
mistake. Yes.
then S5, and your diagram will be
Mm-hmm.
same as of Gagan, but it will be like that one. So it is also
Yes,
not
sir.
the
Yes, sir. Thank you,
original
sir.
one. What? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so anybody else want to ask? Okay, so I'm giving one more example because now many of you, one more example, and then let us check that how many of you will do right. So
This
example
precedence
number 2,
graph always have a cycle, right? I can see that.
graph,
This precedence graph always will have a cycle. I can see that.
cycle, it will never have cycle. It is
It's the
acyclic graph,
directed. Yeah, cyclic graph. Yes.
acyclic graph, directed graph. It will always directed graph, but sometimes what we are doing, again I am referring to Hayes diagram, that in Hayes diagram also it is a directed graph, but directions are normally we are assuming upward. Very similarly, here it is also a cyclic graph, sorry, directed graph, but sometimes you will find that people are not drawing cycle as directions, because this is inherent assumptions that directions are going from top to bottom, from in this way. So people, sometimes people are not drawing directions or arrows in the edges because it is inherently assumed that these are coming from top to bottom side. But it is a good practice that you should, it is originally it is a directed graph, so you should use directions. That is a better idea. So let me draw one more, S2, S3, then say S4, then say S5, S6, and say this is S7. Say this is the graph. Now, again, I'm giving 2 minutes time to all of you that you can try yourself to represent sequentiality and concurrency of this precedence. Gradually, I am increasing size of my graph. So if anybody will complete, then please let me know. That one of you will finish it, then please give response to me. Please acknowledge it to me that you have done.
Done, sir.
Nice. At least one more response.
Sir, done.
Very nice. So now I'm doing. Now all of you please check. And then if your whatever code you have written is totally different what I am writing down, then if you want to ask questions, then you are free to raise your doubts. I will write down your code and then I will try to check whether you have done right or wrong. So what I am doing, again, I have to check that what kind of sequentiality and parallelism we have. So here you can see that after S1, you have two paths. One is like this, another is this one. Now here you have some in this, say this is 1, this is 2, or this is say A, this is B. So in A, you will find some sequentiality and again some concurrency is there. Sequentiality means S2 followed by S4 and then concurrency S5, S6. So here you have a little bit clumsy situation, but we can easily write down code. So begin. I am writing down S1. Then because concurrency is there, AB, two sections are there. So I am writing down par begin. And in par begin, I am writing down S3. And then because this A part, this is B part, S3 is B part. A part is having some sequentiality as well as concurrency. So that I am again using begin. Now within begin, I am writing down S2. Then I am writing down S4. Now S2 and S4 are sequential. And after execution of S2, S4, what you can do? Yes, you have to execute S5, S6, but these two are concurrent or parallel to each other. So now what I am doing here, again, I am using par begin. And in this par begin, I am writing down S5 and S6, then par end. Now, after this, I am closing my this end. And then I am closing this par end also. This end is corresponding to this begin. This is this. And then this one is this one. And then I am writing down S7 and then finally end. And to the first begin. This begin. Now this code I have written. I don't know because I do not have solution. I am not writing down this thing from any reference. So I may be wrong also. आप चेक करिए और आप अपना जो कोड आपने लिखा है उसको भी चेक करिए whether you have written code similar to that or something else. If it is else and you have some doubt, you can share your code with me.
So I have some doubt.
गगन आपने कुछ और लिखा है?
No, sir, only one change is there. I started begin section first, then after that I put S3. Everything else is same.
नहीं देखिए इस बात को समझिए what you are saying. If somewhere I am writing down par begin and I am writing down S2, S3,
Begin and end.
and par end. Now in place of this, if somebody else is writing down S3, S2, then there is
Yes,
no
sir.
difference because
Okay,
ultimately
yes, sir.
within par begin, par end, all the statements or processes are concurrent to each other.
Okay,
So
got
order of these two statements or these statements which are there in the par begin or end doesn't matter. But if you are writing something within begin end, then order matters because begin end supposed to represent sequentiality, and sequentiality will change if you change the order. So par begin, par end के भीतर you can write down anything first.
Okay, clear,
नहीं
sir.
बस किया है आपने.
Yes, यही इतना change था.
Then there is no problem. It's okay. Any other participant want to check? आप खुद तो चेक कर ही लीजिए और आपको डाउट आ रहा है
Sir?
तो आप मुझसे पूछ सकते हैं. Yes, please. Yes, madam.
Sir, I have written S7 twice between the last second parent, after that I have written S7, and then at last again I have written S7. Is it possible, sir? One time only we
That
have to
is
write,
not
because
correct.
it is
That is
common
not
to
correct.
both.
No, that is not correct.
Okay,
You are
sir.
not supposed to write down any statement or anything
Okay,
more
sir.
than once. These are the processes. Each and every process will execute only once. So you are not supposed to write down in code same statement or same process multiple times. That is not. That is wrong. But still, if you
Okay,
want
sir.
to share your code, you want to ask some more questions, then I am ready to write down your code. No problem.
So I have just written that S7 twice. I have
नहीं तो
written after
आप
last
बताइए ना
second
आपने क्या
parent, I have
आपको
written
देखिए
S7.
S7 आप what question you are asking I am saying it is wrong. You are not supposed to write down any statement twice. So
Yeah,
actually
so it is wrong.
it is wrong.
Yeah.
Logically you cannot do
Okay,
this
sir.
thing. Okay, but still whatever you have written and what shape it will take, if you have some question like that, then I can also
The
answer.
rest series is right. Rest of the series is right. The only thing that I did wrong was I have used S7 twice, because I have given one. I have allotted that to one section and one common to S7. So that was
That you are
something
not
that I
supposed
did
to do.
wrong. Rest with that sequence was okay.
Anybody else want to ask? Anybody else want to ask? Now one more I want to give to you. अभी भी लोग सही गलत कर ही रहे हैं. I am modifying this diagram little bit, and then example 3. S1, S2, S3, oh sorry, S3, S4, S5, S6, S7, but some change I am doing here. Now what I am doing, I am putting edge that was there from S3 to S7. Now I am modified this edge from S3 to S6. And then again I am requesting all of you that please spend 2 minutes time and try to write down code of it. This time I will ask you, जो भी लिख लेगा, that please share your code and I will try to write down. I will not do it myself. So please try to write down your own code, and then once you will complete, please acknowledge it. Then I will give you a chance to share your code.
Sir, there is a crossing between two sections actually, two parallel sections.
नहीं आप तो कोड लिखो भाई.
Yes, sir.
क्रॉसिंग वॉसिंग आप कौन साहू जी बोल रहे हैं?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा,
यतीन्द्र. Yes, sir.
यतीन्द्र.
Yes, sir.
तो क्या सब यहीं के लोग अटेंड कर रहे हैं? गगन भाई कर रहे हैं, यतीन्द्र कर रहे हैं, बाहर के लोग नहीं है क्या यार? Yatindra from Triple IT. Dr. Yatindra.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So can I explain my code, sir? Dr. Lalit from the.
Dr. Lalit, you are from?
So I'm from JC Bose University, YMCA, Faridabad.
Okay, very nice. Lalit, yes, you can share your code.
First S1, sir?
No, begin. First begin.
Yes, yes. Begin. S1.
S1.
Then your parallel para begin.
Par begin, huh?
Yeah, with S3.
S3.
Then begin S2.
Begin.
S4.
S2, then S4.
Then end of this begin, and then end of parallel loop.
and then parent, है ना?
Yes.
Yes. Then
Then S5.
S5.
Sorry. Then again parallel par begin
Again
before
par
S5.
begin.
Before
Okay.
S5 par begin. Yes.
Okay, just a minute. Par begin. S5,
S5, S6.
and then S6.
Then par end.
Parent. Then
S7.
S7. Then end.
And then end. Outermost
Very nice.
begin.
Yes, very nice. Now all of you, I am requesting all of you, please check कि how many of you have written the same. तो अब हमारा काम आसान हो जाएगा. किसी और ने भी ऐसा जरूर लिखा होगा. I think few more participants might have written the same. Please give response. गगन, आपने क्या लिखा?
सर मैं नहीं लिख पाया सर इसको कंप्लीट.
चल लिखा ही नहीं.
नहीं लिखा है सर, आधा लिखा है, वो थोड़ा कंफ्यूजन हो गया नीचे की तरफ से.
चलिए, so he has finished. Now the best way that whether whatever Dr. Lalit has written is right or wrong, let me draw the diagram from this. This is also a good practice, that the reversal process, that from the precedence graph, now we have learned that how to write down code so that we can give directives, we can submit this code to a compiler. But also logically, can we draw precedence graph if code is given? That is also a challenge. So let us do this thing. So you have a begin end. Within begin end, whatever you are writing is the sequential thing. So this one. Then you have par begin, and corresponding to this par begin, this is par end. So this one. Then you have another par begin, par end. So this one and this one. So this is A, this is B, this is C, this is D. These four things are sequential to each other. These four sub portion of your code are sequential to each other. So A followed by B, followed by C, followed by D. This is sure. But B itself having sequentiality as well as parallelism, because within B you have two things, S3, and then there is a sequential component S2 followed by S4. But after this, again, you have S5, S6, which is concurrent to each other, and then S7. So let me draw the diagram. वैसे तो आपको देना चाहिए था, या आप लोग खुद ट्राई करते इसका डायग्राम, लेकिन मैं कर रहा हूँ आपके साथ. So S1. Then after S1, you have par begin, par end. So one side you have S3. Another side you have S2 followed by S4, because you have written S2, S4. Is it right, Mr. Lalit, Dr. Lalit?
Yes, sir.
Now this S2 means this par begin, par end means S2, S3 what you have written, or S2, S4 sequentiality, and S3. These two you have to do only after S1. So these two edges will be there. Now you will come out from this par end when you will execute S3 as well as S2 followed by S4. Then you are declaring S5, S6 concurrent to each other. It means you can start S5, S6, which are concurrent to each other, only after completion of S3 as well as S2 followed by S4. So if I use here S5 and I take S6, so this S5 you can start only after completion of S3 as well as S2 followed by S4. So there is a dependency like this and this. Similarly, S6 is also depending upon these two. So S4 and this. And when you will complete these S5, S6 both, then you will go to, S7.
Yes,
S7.
clear, sir. I done the mistake somewhere.
Yes, I think. Really now my S7, and from S7, S5. So this is the basically diagram corresponding to your code, and this is not same. This is not same. So anybody else want to share? Ladies? Sorry, let me say girls, then I think I'll get better response. Yes, no response. Now, let me share one very important thing. By using par begin, par end, and begin end, means these two kind of representation, what I am saying, we will not be able to represent sequentiality and concurrency of this diagram at all. Means whatever code anybody has written, I don't know, because you are not in front of me. So whatever you have written, I am giving guarantee by sitting in the remote place that it is wrong, because we cannot. Of course, I am not giving you any mathematical proof of it, but it is sure that whatever you have written is a wrong code you have written, because these two are not capable enough to represent concurrency and sequentiality, which is there in this graph. So by this, what this statement says, what? That this simple begin and par begin, par end is not, this method is not capable enough to represent sequentiality and concurrency of all possible precedence graphs. It has limitation. We have seen few earlier examples where we have correctly represented sequentiality and concurrency by begin end and par begin, par end concurrent statements. But for such kind of graph, and there are many more, I am not saying this is the only graph. There are many more similar such type of graphs that we will not be able to represent correctly a sequential and concurrency which is there. So this method having limitation. So what I want to tell, that the concurrent Pascal, which provides you the facility of writing down par begin, par end, and begin end, is also giving you one more thing, and that is called that use of semaphores. So you can declare semaphore variables also, and you can easily include semaphores to represent sequentiality and concurrency. So of course, for simple graphs, let me use word simple. Actually, simple is not technically correct word, but for many graphs, you do not need semaphores. But for such type of graph, you need to use semaphores only, along with these par begin, par end, and begin end. Then you will be able to represent sequentiality and concurrency correctly. Now, just I want to know that if anybody from the audience, because there is a mixed audience, some of you from biological sciences also. I don't know how much they are getting from today's discussion, but of course, if it is a computer science course, so I have to, majority participants are computer science people, so I have to justice the course, and I have to make discussion of all possible things. So just I want to know, how many of you do not know what is semaphore? Please share your feedback. Give your feedback. You do not know what is semaphore. Okay, so I'm assuming that all of you know. So I'm asking question to Gagan.
Sir.
क्या होता है semaphore?
Semaphore is a variable which is enabled when we want to execute a section, and after executing that section, we reset this value so that at that point of time, no one else can parallelly execute that section. This is my understanding about semaphore.
Okay.
It is a variable.
Okay. अर्पिता थी ना आपके साथ, कौन था वो?
Harshita, sir.
Harshita. Harshita, yes.
Yes.
I want to ask the same question to you also.
Semaphore sir basically it is a synchronization tool जिसमें integer variable रहता है और उसको हम सीमाफोर बोलते हैं सर बेसिकली ये सिंक्रोनाइजेशन के लिए यूज होता है सो दैट मतलब डेडलॉक वगैरह कुछ ना हो प्रोसेस सिंक्रोनाइजेशन के लिए
Whatever we
ये
are
सर
doing here,
क्रिटिकल
Harshita,
सर a process when it is trying to enter in critical section so by the use of semaphore we can have the synchronization between the processes.
you are using semaphore, you are defining semaphore with respect to operating system only. Am I right, Harshita?
So,
है ना? लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है. Semaphore आपने वैसा पढ़ा है. But you have said few things. One thing you have said that it is an integer variable. Am I right?
yes sir.
तो यतीन्द्र ये इंटीजर वेरिएबल है क्या?
So may I add?
Yes, yes, please, madam, please.
Sir, actually it is not an integer variable. The domain can be over the range of negative to positive. It is basically used to avoid the race conditions that if we are having the shared variables, so no two process can change the value of that shared variable at the same time.
So same Harshita also said the for process synchronization. Actually, we are also doing here synchronization only because I have said that S1, S2, S3 are the processes. You may consider them processes. So until unless these two processes will complete, you are not supposed to start next one. So there is a synchronization among the processes. In place of process, you may consider statements also. So that is all right. But the question was whether it is integer variable or not. So what is your answer, ma'am? Is it an integer variable?
Yes, sir, it is. Sir, what we had read is yes, it is an integer variable.
So if it is an integer variable, it means we can declare, say, integer I can declare integer, say A, B, C, and I can consider that A, B are these two are the semaphores. I can use them like a semaphore. Is it? In a program where we have to do declaration, normally I have not done this thing here in my code, but you know, when you write down program, then you have to declare variables. So when I have to declare, I have to use semaphores, so I can declare some variables, integer variables, then I can use them like a semaphore. Is it right, Gagan?
Yes, sir.
ये सुन रहे हो आप क्या बोल रहा हूँ? I can declare A, B, C, three variables as an integer variable.
Yes, sir.
And then later on in my code, I will use A, B, or maybe C, maybe only A as a semaphore variable.
Yes, sir.
So,
सर एक्चुअली सर हमें से एक ये स्पेशल टाइप का वेरिएबल है सर जिसके ऊपर सर हम ओनली दो फंक्शंस अप्लाई कर सकते हैं सर सिग्नल और सर वेट फंक्शन सर उनके थ्रू हम कुछ वैल्यूज को
यतीन्द्र वांट टू से समथिंग एल्स. चलिए अब टाइम भी देख रहा था मैं, टाइम भी अपना कम ही बचा हुआ है. तो देखिए व्हाट you persons are saying is not correct. Semaphore may be integer, may be boolean. Normally semaphore, if it is a counting semaphore, then there are two types of semaphores. Practically we are using counting semaphore. Another one is boolean semaphore. These counting semaphores are normally integers. But we cannot declare, and these are not normal variables that we can declare integer ABC, I can use AB, or even I can declare Boolean variable like AB and I can use them as a semaphore. Not at all. Because you know that normal variables can be used in normal expression. If I have declared integer ABC, then somewhere in your code I can write down A is equal to B plus C, or I can write down A is equal to A plus 1, I can write down A is equal to A into 2, I can write down A is equal to A minus 1, whatever operation I want to do, I can do. But as Yatindra said, that these are not, of course they have integer value, they may have Boolean value depending upon how we are using them, but these cannot be used in normal expression. whatever variable you are declaring like a semaphore, these can only be used with predefined inbuilt function of that language. Normally, depending upon what kind of language you are using, different popular inbuilt functions are, some are wait, and within wait you have to pass a variable which is declared like a semaphore variable, or signal. This is also A and B are semaphore variables, or some are saying PA or VB kind of. So P or V, wait or signal, depending upon what kind of language you are using, these are the functions. And semaphore variables which you have declared like a semaphore can only be used with predefined inbuilt function, and these wait, signal, PV are the inbuilt function of that particular compiler or that particular language. You cannot use semaphore other than this. And one more function is there, that init function, and init function, say A is equal to 1. In init function, you can initialize semaphore. You cannot initialize semaphore like conventional integer variables that you are initializing A is equal to 1. That you cannot do. This is expression that you cannot. You have to use some inbuilt function. By inbuilt function, you can initialize semaphore, or you can write down init. Init means initialize A is equal to 0. If it is Boolean, then either it will be 1 or 0. So you have to inbuilt function to initialize. Inbuilt function wait. In some basically languages, wait and signals are used. In some languages, P and V are used. And you cannot use semaphore other than this. And similarly, you have to declare like this, that count semaphore A, B, C, or Boolean semaphore A, B, C, kind of declaration, not normal declaration. In concurrent Pascal, the declaration was like that: A, B, C, colon, Boolean semaphore. तो अब ये तो language dependent है, syntax क्या हो. So that I am not covering up, that what is the syntax that when actually you will use in a particular language, then you can use. But you can declare not by normal declaration. Declaration is also that you are declaring these variables like semaphore variables. Now, once you declare any variable like a semaphore variable, you cannot use these variables in a conventional expressions. Either you can use by inbuilt function called initialize semaphore, or you can use by wait or signal or P or V, depending upon what kind of inbuilt function that particular language supports. So that is another feasibility that is need to represent sequentiality and concurrency along with par begin, par end, and begin. But unfortunately, I have not managed my time correctly, so it is almost 11:30, and I don't know what is your next session. तो यदि कोई नहीं आया और कोई सेशन खाली रहा और आप लोगों ने ऐसा कुछ हुआ, then I will continue from this point, and I will explain you not only this thing but also one very important facility that many languages like Ada supports: fork and join. So you can represent sequentiality, concurrency using fork and join. So how you can represent this thing, that also we can discuss. Lekin today we do not have time. So thank you, participants, for your patience hearing. And actually, I have deferred the discussion. Whatever originally I have to discuss a better thing, that I have to discuss some sorting algorithms. And what was my motto? Let me share this thing, that if you already aware of, because I have asked Dr. Pragati, so she has not covered EREW, CREW, CRCW kind of PREM architectures. Of course, these are abstract architectures. These are not practically implemented, but these are very much used by all the algorithm writers, and our subject is parallel algorithm. So all the algorithm writers are using these abstract models, EREW models, exclusive read, exclusive write. These are all shared memory, SIMD architecture based models. So I think Dr. Pagati will discuss, because whatever I want to discuss, these are based on these abstract model also. Along with this, because in the last class, I think you might have done some parallel architecture, which are static connection based, that you may have one-dimensional array, multi-dimensional array, then cubic connection, kind of hypercubic connection. So if your basically processor interconnection is one-dimensional array based, if it is multi-dimensional, two-dimensional array based, or three-dimensional means cubic connection based or hypercubic connection, so your way of writing algorithm will be different, and the performance of algorithm may also differ. So all these things can only be possible to discuss once you will cover up the architecture. Unfortunately, the division of the lectures was like that the architecture part will be taken care by Dr. Pagati, but because of some change in schedule of some external expert, so because of that the schedule has been disturbed. No problem, but if possible, if some slot is there and if time will permit, then I'll discuss searching and sorting if after completion of this architecture part by Dr. Pagati. So thank you, participants. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session. It had an elaborative content on precedence graph and concurrent statements, semaphores. So it was a knowledge enriching session. And on behalf of the participants and the organizing team, I would like to thank you for the session.
I'm also a part of organizing team, Abba.
Okay, so yes, sir.
Okay, it's all right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.